I'd like to call the Monday, August 13th, 2018 Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting to order. And if I could ask everyone to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening and those also watching. We have quite an agenda this evening. First of all, we'll have the consent agenda. Second, a public hearing conditional use permit for Munsterman Auto. Third, the public hearing for McCoy Triangle, the rezoning. Number 4, the public hearing conditional use permit for Blue River Family Dental. 5, the public hearing vacation for Jones Place. Number 6, the public hearing rezoning for Hoot Owl Acres. 7, the public hearing and plan development concept for Hoot Owl Acres. Number 8, public hearing rezoning for Hoot Owl Ridge. Number 9, the public hearing plan development concept for Hoot Owl Ridge. 10, preliminary plat for McCoy Triangle. 11, the preliminary plat for Blue River Family Dental. Number 12, preliminary plat for Jones Place. 13, the preliminary plat for Hoot Owl Acres. 14, preliminary plat for Hoot Owl Ridge. Other business, and followed by adjournment. So with that, I would entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
I
Peel?
move that the minutes for July 23rd meeting of the Planning Commission be approved as submitted by staff.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Casey? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion carried to approve the consent agenda. So with us having several public hearings this evening, I'm going to read the instructions, and we are going to consolidate quite a few items, and I'll let you know what those are, so we'll really only have about 6 presentations. So with the public hearings coming, let me read the instructions so that everyone would know what they are. I will open each public hearing and call for exhibits from our city attorney. The staff will then make their presentation and the commissioners can ask them questions. We'll allow the applicant to come forward and make their presentation. Again, the commissioners can ask questions at that time as well. We'll ask for witnesses to come in favor of the project, witnesses also to come in opposition. We'll have questions and general discussion among the commissioners on record. I'll close the public hearing and call for a motion, and then we'll vote. So with that, I'm going to open the public hearing for the conditional use permit, Munsterman Auto. And Mr. Jury.
Do you want me to?
Oh, call for exhibits. Here, sorry.
Madam Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185 feet notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Jury.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Planning Commissioners. Before you today is a request from Michael Munsterman to approve a conditional use permit for a vehicle repair limited at the address of 607 and 611 Southwest 7 Highway. It's on the west side of 7 Highway, north of the railroad, and about 300 feet south of South Avenue there. It's currently zoned general business, and in order to approve a vehicle repair limited business there, we do have to go through this conditional use process. To give a little history behind this, I guess the applicant does operate a legal non-conforming automotive sales business on the adjacent property, farther just adjacent to the east of this property, which fronts 7 Highway, Munsterman Automotive Group. And the applicant intends to use the subject property for the repair and detailing of vehicles that are for sale at their adjacent retail location. So they'll move cars from the sales lot, repair them, and then move them back after they're repaired. I will mention that the property whenever a property goes through a change in use, then site improvements are required to be brought into conformance with the current UDC standards. This request does constitute a change in use because the property has remained vacant without an active business license for at least 12 months. Through this, they have to make sure that they bring the parking, landscaping, screening, outdoor lighting all up to compliance with the current UDC, and also make sure that the conditional use standards for the vehicle repair limited specifically are met, and there aren't any negative impacts along the neighbors. To go through some of this, I guess the vehicle repair limited, to define this, is a use providing automobile repair or maintenance services within a completely enclosed building, and that is what the applicant is proposing. And in order to approve a conditional use permit, they do need to meet a few standards. One, if it is a automotive service station, which doesn't apply to this, which an automotive service station is typically a gas station, we would require a traffic study, but since it is not, and there's not a high volume of customers, since it'll be mainly the automotive sales business next door as the main customer, then a traffic study was not required by MoDOT or Public Works in this situation. A second conditional use standard that we look at is the applicant or the business, if it's open past 10 p.m., we may require a buffer type to be located between the business and any residentially zoned property. There is residentially zoned property to the west of this site, but the parking and any headlights that could interfere with the adjacent residential property will be, one, shielded by the existing building. So the survey here sort of shows where the parking area is in front of the building. Parking area will be here. The building's located just a little bit farther west from that parking area. And the applicant has actually also maintained the existing, or provided a little bit of repair and maintenance to the existing fence along their western boundary. So the culmination of those things, and also that they're not planning on being open past 10 p.m., staff does believe that they meet the intent of this requirement. They also, one of the other requirements for conditional use permits is the applicant shall indicate whether the business will sell alcohol, beverages, maintain video games, provide food, or other such things like that. And they are proposing, or they are not proposing to provide any customer amenities on this location, since it will be mainly for repair of the next door or the adjacent property, building or vehicles from the adjacent property. They did mention that they may have a small percentage of vehicles that customers may bring in, but all of those sales and operation of that will be, or the point of sale will happen at the automotive sales portion, and then they'll move the vehicles to this property. As far as another conditional use requirement, the service bays are required to face away from residential zoning, and they do have a few garage doors along the front of this building, which are facing away from the residential to the east or to the west. As far as the parking and the parking, landscaping, lighting, etc., staff did look at the parking requirements, and they are providing 12 spaces, and they are required 12 spaces for vehicle parking, and so they met that requirement. Bicycle parking, they're required 0 spaces because it's based on the number of employees, and since they're only proposing 6 employees at this time, 3% of 6 is pretty close to 0. As far as landscaping, the property does have a lot of existing vegetation along the southern boundary of the lot and the western, and they are requesting a alternative compliance landscape plan. They're providing quite a bit more vegetation than is typically required, just because of all of the existing trees add up pretty quickly. So the only deviation that they're requesting in terms of a typical landscape plan is that they don't have any plantings near the parking area, but they are providing more total parking, total landscaping on the entire site than normally approved. As far as screening, the applicant is proposing to utilize the dumpster on the adjacent property, but they did mention that they will construct a trash enclosure if they do place a dumpster on this property. And lastly, lighting, outdoor lighting. There is no requirement for outdoor lighting if the business operates during daylight hours only, and they are proposing to only be open from 9 to 6 in the summer and 8 to 5 in the winter, and staff believes this will meet the intent of that as well. Beyond that, I will mention that if the applicant does further improve the property, as in expansions of the building or parking area, they will be required to bring possibly this site and their adjacent property into compliance as far as rezoning, platting, an additional conditional use potentially in site plan design review. And that's if they do add on to what is already existing. So we may eventually find them coming before us again in the future. Beyond that, staff does recommend approval of this with 3 conditions, and I'll stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Jury by the commissioners?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Pierce.
Mr. Jury, will this conditional use permit generate an annual inspection of the premises for proper storage and disposal of combustibles and hazardous material?
As any vehicle repair business, they aren't allowed to have outdoor storage, and any complaints that we get, we will definitely look into that. But I don't believe we do any annual inspections of businesses.
For compliance?
For compliance, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other questions? Would the applicant like to come forward? Okay. Is there anyone that would like to come in favor of this project? Anyone opposed? Okay. Are there any other questions by the commissioners? Or?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
I'd like to ask the representative for this permit to step forward for a couple of questions.
Okay, with the applicant, you'll need to be sworn in.
Fred Redman, please. You solemnly swear that the testimony about to give in this case, do the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You'll need to give them your name, address.
My name is Michael Munsterman. My business address is 609 Southwest State Route 7 here in Blue Springs, Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. Westerman. My questions evolve around, I know there's repair facilities just across the street from your car lot. And I was kind of curious why you decided to do your own maintenance rather than take your vehicles across the street.
Oh, sure. So part of our model, when we moved in and opened the dealership, there were existing bays in the current building, and we just made a decision just to be able to deliver our vehicles at the lowest possible cost to our customers, and the best way to do that was to repair those ourselves.
Okay, so it was a monetary issue. Is
It was, absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other questions since the applicant's here? I guess not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing if there's no further discussion. And I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Billups?
I would move for approval of conditional use permit CUP 07186474 with the 3 staff conditions.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Is that Commissioner Fairbanks? Okay. All right. This will be a roll call vote.
Planning Commissioner Veal,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Casey,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks,
Aye.
Commissioner Peel,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan,
Aye.
Commissioner Haney,
Aye.
Commissioner Billups,
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. That motion for the public hearing conditional use for Musterman has been approved. Okay, now we'll go to the next public hearing. And with that public hearing, we're also going to hear the related item number 10, which is the preliminary plat. This is from McCoy Triangle. So I will open the public hearing for McCoy Triangle rezoning, and I will call for exhibits from our city attorney.
Madam Chairman, I offer into the record the following exhibits. Number 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference. And before the meeting tonight, we were handed a document that I'm going to call a petition submitted in opposition, which has been marked as exhibit number 9.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jury.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Before you is the request to rezone property from GB, general business, to MF14, moderate density multifamily. Also connected with this is the preliminary plat. This property is addressed at 100 Southeast AA Highway. It's bounded by US 40 Highway on the north, AA Highway on the north-ish as well. Southwest Speece Drive to the east, and Southwest Jaguar Lane to the south. It's approximately 1.06 acres and proposed as 1 lot. Currently, the property is undeveloped. The site is proposed to be platted and developed as a one-lot subdivision for 2 multifamily buildings with up to 14 dwelling units. The proposed multifamily use is allowed in the requested MF14 moderate density multifamily zoning district. A little bit of background on this site. Back in 1986, the Board of Aldermen did approve a request to rezone the subject property and adjacent land to the north and east from I-1, which is light industrial, to B2, which is our current day general business zoning. Back then, AA Highway actually ran on the south side of this property. Since then, back around 1993 or so, AA was rerouted and relocated to the north side of this property. I'm mentioning this because at the time when we did rezone it to general business, things were different, and the balance of the property and the properties to the north of this were all connected as one large property, and is on the north side along with all the other commercial. But today, the property is on the south side of AA and is more connected to the residential to the south than the general business to the north of AA Highway. I'll mention a little bit of the zoning surrounding this property. It is surrounded completely by right-of-ways. 40 Highway, AA, Speece, and Jaguar Lane. But to the south, there is a little bit of 2-family across the street from Jaguar Lane, and also some single-family zoning district that touches the majority of the southern boundary, or across the street from the southern boundary across Jaguar Lane. The property does have some topography issues along here, and I'll scoot over to. So the western side of this property has a lot of wooded area and quite a topographical change, a pretty good-sized hill on the west side, and limited visibility along or from 40 Highway, looking onto this property, which staff believes is part of the reason why it hasn't developed yet. The limited visibility does actually help this property in terms of being a residential. The wooded area also helps reduce the noise, which reduces or improves this property as being a residential property. The zoning request for MF14 so here's a list of the uses allowed in MF14, everything from detached to attached housing and multifamily housing, as well as some other group homes, schools, and conditional uses are required for some of these other items, or special uses as well. To get into the conditional or the comprehensive plan for this, the future land use policy map does designate this property as neighborhoods, which is primarily residential in nature and defined as areas for residential living arranged in a connected pattern of streets and blocks to provide access to civic and neighborhood amenities. Neighborhoods can be primarily detached, or are primarily detached houses, but can include integration of different housing types, civic spaces, or micro-commercial uses that support the neighborhood pattern and scale. Staff does believe that this being located between the highways, commercial to the north, commercial zoning to the north, and residential to the south, creates a good transitional zone between zoning districts where it sort of steps down from commercial to a higher intensity residential, and then down to what currently exists with the 2-family and single-family on the south side of Jaguar. And so that is the main points for the rezoning, and I'll get into the preliminary plat a little bit here. So on the preliminary plat, the lot layout does comply with the UDC, and with 14 dwelling units proposed, they can meet the minimum of 3,000 square feet per ground floor dwelling unit if the MF14 is approved. They would actually be providing about almost 3,300 square feet per dwelling unit. As far as access on this site, there will be a limit of no access required on the final plat along 40 Highway and also Double A Highway, limiting them to driveway cuts along Jaguar Lane. And I will mention that the proposal, as shown, does not meet the driveway allowance. They are showing about 35% of Jaguar Lane being driveways, whereas the maximum allowed for a frontage, or for the linear feet of frontage that they have along Jaguar Lane, is 25%. So they'll have to cut down the driveway cuts if they want to go through this process. If they cannot meet that requirement or any other requirement, they could also go through a plan development concept plan and request some modifications from the UDC. But at this point, staff does believe they do have the option to potentially meet the requirements of, and they have enough land to meet the requirements that the UDC allows. There is, as far as access, there is a driveway cut along AA Highway, which they will have to remove and replace with matching curb and gutter, which must be installed or financially guaranteed before the final plat approval. There's also the location of Speece Drive should actually be moved over a little bit farther to the east. The survey shown and the recorded measurements evidently don't line up perfectly from what was recorded on an older plat compared to what the surveyor measured in the field. And so before the final plat, the actual location of Speece Drive should be verified and correctly drawn on the final plat. Sidewalk improvements, along AA Highway, along the south side, there should be a 5-foot sidewalk, and at the intersection of 40 Highway, the developer must work with MoDOT to figure out exactly how that intersection will function in terms of pedestrian interaction. The sidewalk is also required on Speece Drive and then along Jaguar Lane all the way actually to the intersection with King's Cross Road, where there should be a curb cut to allow pedestrian access south to the south side of Jaguar Lane. Prior to final plat approval, all of this required sidewalk should be installed or financially guaranteed as well. The stormwater improvements, we don't have a stormwater study at this point, but before final plat approval, the study must be submitted to Public Works, and any easements and improvements for stormwater must be installed before occupancy. Sealed letter of completion must also be submitted to the city engineer when those improvements are completed. The utility easements, any required, shall be delineated and dedicated on final plat, and as always, the final plat must be approved and recorded at Jackson County prior to any building permits being issued. So with the preliminary plat, staff does recommend approval with 4 conditions, and staff recommends approval of the rezoning as well. So I'll stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Drury? Yes, Commissioner Billups?
Mr. Drury, clarification on something you said. You said the ground floor area of each unit is 3,000 square feet?
So the building type apartment complex where there's multiple buildings on one lot, the UDC allows the MF14 zoning district to have ground floor units, or in order to have as many ground floor units as they want, they have to provide at least 3,000 square feet of lot area.
Okay, lot area.
Lot area per ground floor unit. So if they have 10 ground floor units, they'd have to take 10 times 3,000, and that would be the minimum lot area for the entire property.
Okay, what I heard was that each unit, the inside had to be 3,000 square foot. I thought that was very large. So that was why I was asking for a clarification.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification.
So do we know what the square footage on the units will be?
They have not mentioned what that will be.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Fairbanks?
Thank you. This shows 13 structures or 13 separate items, and it looks like 13 or 14 garages. Is that correct?
There should be 14. One of the units is oriented horizontally in order to make that corner.
Okay, so you've got 8 in that one building and then 6 in the other.
Correct.
Is that in fact parking or garages in the back along Jaguar Lane?
Behind the buildings,
Yeah,
no, they don't show that as anything but green space currently.
okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Jury? Yes.
Mr. Jury, you mentioned the trees along the 40 highway. With this kind of preliminary plat, would those remain, or would that have to be, some of those have to be removed for this, I guess, this current proposal?
A lot of these questions for the design and everything will eventually be addressed during the site plan design review process. And I mean, we don't have a lot of those answers currently, so
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure if they will remain or not.
Okay.
Mr. Jury, I do have a question. Well, you were talking about that does not meet the driveway allowance. Now, they're going to be facing Jaguar Lane. As far as you say these are just parking, it's not going to be garages, correct?
From what they're showing, it looks like they do have a garage for each unit.
Okay.
And I guess in order to clarify the driveway allowance, taking the frontage of Jaguar Lane, they can only have a sum total of all the driveway widths can only amount to 25% of that frontage. And from my rough calculations, they're about 30 or 35%.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, any other questions? Would the applicant like to come forward? You need to be sworn in and give your name and address.
You solemnly swear the testimony about to give this case, give the truth, so help you God.
So help me God.
Use your name and address.
Sean Caton, 6320 Marion Avenue, Kansas City, Missouri. I'm here representing the property owner. I can answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
Do you all have an idea of what it's going to look like, the structure, or just any idea?
It's pretty similar to 6-plex, 4-plex, 8-plexes that we've seen in the around area cities. There's a development out in Raymore that I've worked on myself previously. There's a couple of them around in Blue Springs or Independence area that's similar. They're trying, try to do the best as possible to make it fit in. I mean, it's going to be a 2-story structure. Basically, it's similar to a duplex, just a little bit wider than a duplex. So we'll have a 6-plex, 8-plex, ground floor probably roughly 600 square foot ground floor, 700 to 800 on the second floor. So units probably be 1,200 to 1,400 square feet. So.
Any other, Commissioner Mills?
With the slope on this site, will they all be on slabs or will they have basements?
Might look at the west end. Might look at having some walkout basements because of the slope.
That's pretty.
Yeah, you got about a 6-foot fall where within the buildable area of the site.
And just my personal opinion, if you can not bring back to us the same floor plan that we see all over town, that would be really nice. Get really tired of seeing the same thing over and over again.
Sir, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
With this being so close to major roads, and evidently, or probably, children will be living in some of them, since it's not age restricted, have you thought about a fence along AA?
We haven't gotten to that depth of detail, ma'am, to be honest.
Yeah, I know this is just rezoning, but we like to consider things while we're still looking at it.
Right, I understand.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. All right, at this time, I will call those in favor of this proposal for rezoning McCoy Triangle. All right. I have Two that have signed to speak in opposition, Mr. Brad Lundstrom, is that correct? Would you like to come forward? You'll need to be sworn in.
You solemnly swear the testimony about giving this case to be the truth, so help you God. Yes, sir. Your name and address.
You say that, your name and address into the microphone, please.
Brad Lundstrom, 909 Southwest Spees Drive, Blue Springs, Missouri.
Thank you.
Well, to start with, it says on the piece of paper that everyone within 185 feet of this location should have received a letter, correct?
Correct.
There's two people in our neighborhood that received this letter. One of them is sitting back here, and the other one cannot make it because it's school enrollment night, and a lot of our family in our neighborhood could not be here tonight. So there was only two people allowed to receive that letter. The sign for the placement to notify our neighbors on the rezoning was way back towards the tree line that nobody could see. It was not on the main corner to bring people in to notify. So, to start with, this is going to be a 14-family dwelling, correct? We have so much riffraff from the previous streets behind. The neighborhood does not want this to be rezoned to residential, because when you do that, it brings in more problems to start with. The traffic is going to be an issue. We know that. I mean, we already have trouble with that area anyway. My personal opinion, I've already been hit twice sitting at that stoplight. So, I mean, then that's without even this. The education, student-teacher ratio, bringing more children in. My little girl right now is in school. They have 28 kids per teacher in that class. That's not a good education for me, and, you know, per ratio. And if we bring more children in, what is that going to do to the schooling? Our property value, what will that do to it? This is a very, I mean, I didn't know when we signed the petition for signatures that it was strictly, you know, I thought it was strictly just that surrounding area. Well, I talked to Mrs. Culpepper. She says, no, I'm sorry, it was for the whole area. So I should have got more signatures, and I do apologize for that. Everyone I spoke to said, no, we do not want it. No, we do not want it. Please, let me sign right now. Because we don't want it anymore. And the tree issue, when you guys were talking about that, that's going to wipe those trees completely out. If anyone has ever seen that area, I mean, there is a big swell for the runoff for the sewer drains and everything else. It runs pretty much about the 3 or 4th in where that section is off to the left. So they're going to have to do a lot of work in maintaining. So that means that it's cutting those trees out. I just wish you guys would hear us in the neighborhood that, you know, do not allow this. I mean, there's a lot of people in our town that, you know, still believe that it should be a small little town, you know, and it's still friendly. And bringing more and more and more of these dwellings in, it's kind of taken away from the small town community, in my opinion. I've lived here all my life. I want to keep my kids in here in this town. But bringing the riffraff, I know it's coming. I mean, we all see it. There's no way to deny it. Please help us stop, please. For me, for my neighbors, for our community. Let's bring it back to a small town feel and not allow this, please. That's it. That's all.
That's all?
I mean, I think there's more on that sheet, but I gave it to you guys, and I don't remember everything I had. I had like 6 things wrote down that we came up with.
I think you did good. I think you hit them all. If you'd like to look at it, you can.
No, I trust you.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for us as the
Do you have
community?
any questions for this? Yes.
I'm just curious, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, please understand. What would you like to see happen to this property, as it is zoned commercial, and the owner obviously has a right to develop the property?
Absolutely. And I understand that. Well, there was 5 or 6 people in the cul-de-sac that butts right up against where it says like, what was that, lot 176 or 178, right in that backside of that cul-de-sac. It's a single mall. There's 2 or 3 of them actually in that cul-de-sac. Why can't they make it a park? Why couldn't the city step up and say, hey, let's take this property, let's develop it for our town, let's make it a park, let's do a farming, or not a farming, but tomatoes, like a little garden center. Make it, because that property, if you know where I'm talking about.
I know exactly, yeah.
That drop, I heard the gentleman say 5 to 6 feet drop.
Well, he was talking about the developable area, not the whole site.
But the drop on the back side where they're going to have, that is a good 10, 12-foot drop once they come out, dwell to the highways. I mean, there's a lot of things as me, knowing construction as I do, you're looking at the background and going, safety for children. And the fence, I understand that. But there's other issues that just I don't understand it. I mean,
so, and I can answer the park question is because it's a money issue. The city can't maintain the parks we have, so asking them to create another park is way outside the budget.
Well, I mean, I was talking to Mrs. Culpepper. I know she's not here tonight. Why can't it still be residential? Why can't a small business come in there and actually that's what it was designed for?
Well, that's what's currently zoned right now. You could have, somebody could come in and put in a small office building.
Correct.
Someone could come in and put in a small retail space. You could end up with a Dollar General or something like that there, where you could have trucks coming in and out. You could have.
But see, then again, it deals with the traffic community, traffic. Because that is such a small area. I mean, you have a 2-lane and then it's field.
No, I understand. I've frequented that road on numerous occasions, getting in and out of Westlakes and.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just don't want to see more trouble.
So, and there, again, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I get upset when I hear the automatic assumption that rental property is automatically riffraff.
Yeah.
To me, that's an offensive word. I don't like to hear that.
Well, I do apologize for that, but on my behalf, on saying that, 2 blocks over from us, that strip right behind Westlake, there's a lot of Section 8s. We get so much traffic off of that. Car chases in our neighborhood. We've had kids, fights in our neighborhoods from that, and it's all coming from there because I know quite a few of the law enforcement around that. And where did it all come from? Where did it come from? And I'm not trying to stereotype, and please don't think I am.
Well, that's what I'm hearing, though.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to be. I just don't.
And that's why I get upset. But correct me if I'm wrong, but in this area, and you were talking about notification, the people who get notified are the property owners.
Correct.
And I know there are at least some of the properties over in that area that are rental single-family dwellings as well. Those people would not be notified because the property owner would be notified, not the tenant.
Okay. They're on when you turn onto Spees. Okay, off of AA.
Mm-hmm.
On the right-hand side, when you're going up Spees, 1, 2, 3 of the first 3 houses. That's within 185 feet. I'm the 3rd house. I did not receive a letter. The 2nd house is a owned house. Alex, he did not receive a letter. Mrs. Fay on the corner, she did not receive a letter. Okay?
Okay, and I'm not, again, I'm not saying they should or shouldn't have. According to the chart that we have here, only the first 2 houses are in the 185 feet. So yours would be outside of the 185 feet.
Okay, well, okay.
So that would be.
Well, then the first 2 did not receive it.
Yeah, and I can't.
And the only reason that we found out about this, the 2nd house on the left-hand side on Spees,
Mm-hmm.
is where we received the letter from. And he came to me going, do you know about this yet? No, we didn't. And then as it got farther on, as you see in the cul-de-sac, the big lot on the right-hand side, 4131-002, Yes, that one right there. She is within, right across Jaguar Lane.
Right.
She did not receive one. The one next to her did not receive one. So I'm not trying to be argumentative. I mean, it's just nobody knew about it.
Okay, well, and I apologize for that, because those letters should have gone out to the mailing addresses that are registered for those properties.
Yes, sir. So,
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
Is there anything else?
Do you guys have anything else for me?
Commissioner Carson?
Mr. Lundstrom, earlier you mentioned a petition.
Yes, sir.
Could you maybe describe that process for us a little bit? I don't think that was part of our documentation.
Yes.
Oh, you got it there.
Exhibit.
So how that became, the neighbor I was telling you about across the street from me, Mike and his wife, brought it to my attention. And this was a week and a half ago. So I called Mrs. Culpepper and I said, man, what do I do? You know, we want to not have this. And tonight, like I said, tonight is parent-teacher conference, meet your teacher. So a lot of our neighborhood that we deal with around us, our small friends, couldn't be here. So I talked to her. I said, what can I do? She said, get a petition signed. Well, I didn't know that it was outside, just our little area. I figured it was just our small little group around this. So I got our main street on Spees, I got the cul-de-sac, and everybody signed that. And
It looks like I counted 26 names, if that's correct.
And I mean, I could have had more if I would have known. I mean, but that's just, like I said, right around our circle, around that property they're trying to.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're Mr. Lundstrom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The petition that you submitted, what are you wanting to do with that? Are you just wanting to make the Planning Commission aware that those people who signed it are in opposition to this?
That is correct. Because, like I said, they could not be here at this time to verify, let you guys know aware that community around that does not want this.
Okay.
So it's just not my voice, it's not the rest of the people here. It's letting them know. Like I said, they did in that letter to stop the rezoning. So if we stop the rezoning, we can't do the...
Okay. But I mean, you understand that that's all this does. These people have just signed this statement that's on the front page. It doesn't have any legal effect.
I wrote on there what stop the rezoning and all that on the piece of paper that they signed.
I mean, it doesn't have a legal effect on this hearing or the council hearing, other than to let them know that people who signed it are in opposition.
I'm having them look at it since we just got it tonight.
Okay.
So because it only has the bullets of what you were wanting to
I
share.
understand.
It's
I mean,
not an injunction.
if you would like, I could show you the paper that I had to present to the neighbors. Basically what I had was the blueprint of the business, the residence that's going in, and the letter that you all had received out that Mike and his wife presented to me is what I showed the neighbors. Here's the letters, here's the planning. So it wasn't just go, hey, sign the paper. They knew exactly what it was being signed for, if that helps.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But right across from, just to give you, right across from her property, the one that you say didn't get it, is the big sign, the notice, the one that's posted, the
Yes, ma'am.
blue one. So, but then some people don't know what that's for.
Well, you can't read it. There was 2 days that when it was put, I went by, I took a picture of it so I could get all the info, the RZ, for the papers. Within 2 days, all the red writing on that sign was completely gone. You cannot read it, you can't see it. It's just black or white and blue. The red marker that they wrote on is gone. I mean,
Okay. Is there any other questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
Mr.
Field?
Lundstrom, how long have you lived in the neighborhood?
I've lived in that neighborhood 19 years.
Okay.
My starter home, raising my children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, in addition, we have Sabrina Campbell You need to come forward and be sworn in as well.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Use your name and address.
Sabrina Campbell. I'm at 905 Southwest Windsor Court. I'm at lot, it's 178, 168, whatever, right back from it. I don't remember. Anyways, I'm a single mother, and I have lived at my house for 6 years now. Just bought the property 6 years ago. It took me a very long time on my own, with no help from the state, no help from anybody but myself, raising my children by myself, to buy this home. And all of the rental property behind me, not to be judgmental, but it brings in a lot of bad people, because like I didn't have a lot of money, and you have to work so much to make in the money to take care of your property that you don't have a lot of time to spend with your children. You rely on cell phones and your neighbors and whoever can help you at the moment. So unfortunately, your children run crazy. I have had police chases in my backyard. I have had my house vandalized just in the last 4 days. My front door was shattered. My house has been egged. And this is all because of all the little kids around that think they can get away with whatever they want. And I don't want more rental properties right behind my lot. I've already got them in my backyard. I don't want them to the side of my yard, and my neighbors don't either. They couldn't be here because they had to be at school. I chose to be here instead of going to the principal to talk about bullying tonight because I couldn't get a hold of him Friday. I can't take off work to go talk to the principal about bullies, and you're going to add more children in a small area, and they don't have anything to do. Like Brad was saying, there's no parks right there. There's nothing for the children to do but cause chaos amongst each other. I've been almost hit about probably 10 times at the corner of Spees and AA and Jaguar Lane because they just don't stop. I would rather not see rental properties stuck there. That's my personal concern. Julie couldn't be here because she had to be at school, and she is right backside of that. My next door neighbor, her lot is right backside of that. She didn't know. I talked to her. She didn't get the letter either. She didn't have any idea. And she couldn't be here this evening because she had to be at school.
Are there any questions?
Do
Ms.
y'all have
Campbell?
sorry.
Yes. Did you want to speak?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Do y'all currently have a neighborhood watch? It sounds like you have an issue with current
Lately,
residents
it has
instead of
gotten
new.
worse. It has not gotten better. We do not, but my neighbors are all very tight-knit. I was on vacation when my house was vandalized, and my neighbors called me, and they actually called the police department for me. So we'd all do watch each other's houses and things, but we don't have an actual neighborhood watch put together.
And then it sounds like y'all associate Section 8 and trouble. Are you sure that
It's
this
not- I didn't
property
say
owner
Section
is
8.
going
I
to
said rental properties.
accept Section 8?
No, I don't. I would rather not see any rental properties put back there at all, personally. Because when a person owns their home, they take more pride in it. Rental properties, they don't take as much pride. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people that don't take pride in that home because it's somebody else's property. They don't care. I was in rental properties. I also did foreclosures and cleaned out rental properties for a very long time, and homeowners that lost their houses. It's not pretty. People don't care. When they own their own property, that's when they actually take pride in it and want to take care of their property and their livelihood around it. I take pride in my house and what I have. I raised my kids on $10 an hour with no help from nobody. And then more rental properties want to go up around me and my house is going to go down in value. I would rather not see that.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Campbell? Thank you very much. Okay. Is there any other general discussion from the commissioners or questions on record?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Peel?
I'd like to recall Mr. Kenton.
Okay, Mr. Kenton?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kenton. I had a question as far as, is there any anticipated rental what am I saying, payment, or what are these places going to rent for?
I can't answer specifics on that one at this point, but my limited knowledge of the property owner is that they would not be going to the direction of building these for Section 8. I mean, the amount of money that's going to take to build this property is not going to be something that anybody running a business would want to immediately turn over to a Section 8. I mean, it could even potentially not necessarily be rental. It could be, you sell off individual portions of it.
So you're not locked into rental
Right.
specific properties at this point?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kent. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question for him as well.
Oh, you want to come back? Mr. Craddock?
Will your renters by any chance be screened?
Again, sir, I can't answer that specifically because I can't say that it's 100% going to be a rental specific. We're looking at rezoning the property to where it can actually be developed. The current lay of the land, as the staff explained, after the rerouting of AA, it took the viability of it being a business address away from that property. Hence why we're looking at rezoning it to a multifamily.
Thank you.
Any other questions before he steps away? No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, I would entertain a motion. I need to close the public hearing. And I would now entertain a motion.
Well, because nobody else will do it. I would like to, I don't have the document number anyway. I would like to move against allowing this change of zoning type.
It's on the screen there now.
It's not over there.
It's it's out in front of you.
Okay, RZ 07186464. I would like to move that we deny the rezoning from general business to multifamily 14.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner? Okay, we have a motion made to deny the rezoning of McCoy Triangle. We will be a roll call vote.
Planning Commissioner Cradoff?
Nay.
Commissioner Casey?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
No.
Commissioner Fairbanks?
Aye.
Commissioner Peel?
Nay.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan?
Nay.
Commissioner Haney?
No.
Commissioner Billups?
No.
Commissioner Veal?
Nay.
Chairman Banks?
Aye.
And that has failed.
That motion, that rezoning for McCoy Triangle has failed.
Madam Chair?
Motion to deny.
It's not approved.
It's not approved.
Right, sorry. Failed.
Right. Well, the motion is, the motion, the motion was carried, approved,
No.
Motion was denied.
It was just denied.
denied.
Correct.
The
Sorry,
motion
I
was
said the wrong
denied.
word. I apologize.
Motion to deny was denied.
Double negatives there.
Just
Double,
Okay, wait a minute.
double
Wait a minute.
double
I want to
negative,
make sure
double
everybody
negative
voted
there.
the way they wanted to vote.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody knows it was to deny, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Right, yes.
based on that vote, I would make a motion to recommend the rezoning RZ 07186464.
Second. And there are 4 conditions along with that.
Not with the rezoning.
Not with the rezoning.
I'm sorry, with the preliminary plat.
Yeah, we're not talking about the preliminary plat right now.
Just rezoning.
Just the zoning.
This is for the rezoning. So he has made a motion to approve the rezoning for McCoy Triangle.
Okay.
Okay, the motion is to approve the rezoning for McCoy Triangle. Planning Commissioner Casey?
Nay.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks?
Nay.
Commissioner Peel?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Nay.
Commissioner Duhan?
Aye.
Commissioner Haney?
Aye.
Commissioner Billups?
Aye.
Commissioner Veal?
Nay.
Commissioner Cradoff?
Aye.
Chairman Banks?
No. Nay.
6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it has been approved.
Okay, now.
Yes. And it will be heard on the 20th. Now we have to vote on the preliminary plat.
Okay. The motion for rezoning has been approved. It will be heard at the City Council on August the 20th at 6 p.m. At this point, we will now vote on the preliminary plat.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I would move for approval of the preliminary plat TP 07186463 with the staff conditions.
And there are 4.
4 staff
Four
conditions.
staff conditions. Thank you.
Okay, do I
Second.
hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Peel? Oh, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Yes?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Planning Commissioner Fairbanks?
No.
Commissioner Peel?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan?
Aye.
Commissioner Haney?
Aye.
Commissioner Billups?
Aye.
Commissioner Veal?
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff?
Aye.
Commissioner Casey?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Chairman Banks?
No.
Okay, it has been approved.
It has been approved. The preliminary plat for McCoy Triangle has been approved. Okay, we will go to the public hearing rezoning for Hoot Owl Ridge. We'll also see hear the agenda items 9 and that's also a public hearing.
Madam Chair.
We need to see Blue River.
Oh, Blue River. Which one was
Yeah,
that?
item 4.
Item 4, I got mine out of line. Sorry. We're going to number 4. I have my pages out. That's item 11. We will hear now, along with that.
Item 4 and 11.
4 and 11. Sorry, I had the pages.
There's a lot of pages.
Okay. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Public hearing conditional use for Blue River Family Dental. And would the attorney please read the exhibits?
Madam Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record. Number 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you. Mr. Knight?
All right, thank you, Chairman Banks and Commissioners. Before this evening are 2 requests related to Blue River Family Dental, which is a new office building proposed at 709 West Main Street, just west of US Bank at 7 Highway and Main Street. The first request is for a conditional use permit to allow a small commercial building in the T5 Urban Center zoning district. The proposed single-story small commercial building is only permitted by a conditional use permit and only in the T5 zoning district. Although the downtown master plan encourages the development of 2 to 5-story mixed-use buildings along much of Main Street, the subject lot is suitable for a single-story building, as most buildings on the north side of Main Street are already single-story. And it also provides an appropriate transition to the homes on the north side, which are predominantly single-story, single-family, and at a lower elevation. The minimum floor-to-ceiling height in the downtown development code for commercial and mixed-use buildings is 15 feet floor-to-ceiling. The minimum floor ceiling heights will be reviewed and approved by the Downtown Review Board prior to building permit approval. The preliminary building plans up on the screen do show parapets at 19.17 feet and a second parapet at 24 feet. So based on preliminary review, it does appear that the floor to ceiling height can be met. The preliminary site plan that has been provided does show that the site does meet all required building setbacks. The building will have a zero front setback up against the sidewalk or near the sidewalk along Main Street, which is one of the goals of the downtown master plan. There is also a sidewalk required to be widened to 8 feet per the downtown master plan. The preliminary building materials include a mix of various masonry materials, predominantly brick and stone, as well as some wood plank in the sign location. Aside from the wood planks, the building is all masonry, meeting and exceeding the 50% masonry requirement for all facades in the downtown development code. The building design also appears to meet the intent of the downtown design standards, with the main entrance being on the side of the building, which allows an accessible entrance from Main Street as well as to the parking in the rear. The Downtown Review Board will review the final site plan, building elevations, and landscape plan prior to the approval of building permits. And then the second request is for a preliminary plat for Blue River Family Dental. This is a one-lot subdivision on a little under 0.4 acres. A shared access drive is proposed from an existing curb cut along Main Street, which is located to the west of the building. The city owns the property, the two properties to the west, and a separate shared access easement and agreement is required to be approved by the city council with the final plat. The 8-foot sidewalk, stormwater detention, and water quality must all be completed prior to the certificate of occupancy for the building. Any new easements must be delineated and dedicated on the final plat. The final plat must be approved and recorded prior to the issuance of any building permits. The Downtown Review Board did recommend approval of the conditional use permit for the small commercial building on their July 30th meeting. And staff does recommend approval of the conditional use permit with 6 conditions and approval of the preliminary plat with 5 conditions. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Are there any questions by the commissioners? Thank you very much. Would the applicant like to come forward? All right. Would there be a witness that would like to come in favor of the project? In opposition? Any general discussion among the commissioners?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Peel?
I'd like to ask staff if there were 2 questions. Any 185-foot notification letters returned and any letters of opposition submitted?
No, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right.
Madam Chair, is there anyone else here that's representing the applicant?
I asked.
No one at all?
I asked are you the applicant for
No, I'm not
Blue
the
River?
applicant, but I am part of the design firm.
Okay.
So,
Then you'll need to be sworn in.
You sound swear that the testimony about to give in this case be the truth, so we got.
yes.
Okay. Name and address.
My name is Jeremy Powell. I'm with Powell CWM, 3200 South State Route 291, Independence, Missouri.
Okay. Now, did you have a question, Commissioner?
No.
Any other? Would you like to make a presentation or anything?
I think the staff did a great job on the report.
Okay.
This applicant is currently renting space downtown, am I correct?
That is correct. He's in the strip mall at 908, I believe it is.
I believe that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to the west.
To the west, correct.
Okay. Any questions then, by the commissioners?
Madam Chair, in this,
Commissioner Peel?
the presentation is authorized or to present by,
Well, I don't think he's making a presentation.
well, I understand that, but he's.
Do you have a letter of
answering questions. Is he
authorization to speak on behalf of the applicant?
We are the engineer on record for this project.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
thank you. Okay, well, I thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, since I've already called for if anyone is in favor of opposition to this, and hearing none, I will go ahead and bring it back up here. Any questions, comments?
I would just like to say on the record that as the downtown representative, I'm glad to see that they're investing their money in staying downtown.
Definitely.
Madam Chair, are we doing both or just the conditional use permit?
I'm going to close the public hearing, and then we will vote and make motions separately.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing for Blue River. And I would entertain a motion for the public hearing conditional use for Blue River Family Dental.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peel?
I move that the conditional use permit CUP 07186477 for Blue River Family Dental with the 6 conditions be approved as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Fairbanks? All right, that will be a roll call.
Yep. Planning Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks.
Aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan.
Aye.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Billups.
Aye.
Commissioner Veal.
Aye.
Commissioner Kredoff.
Aye.
Commissioner Casey.
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. Okay, that the public hearing conditional use for Blue River Family Dental was approved. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I would entertain a motion, since we've already just heard the preliminary plat for Blue River Dental, I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peel?
I move that preliminary plat PP 07186478 for Blue River Family Dental with the 5 conditions be approved as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Duhon? All right, I just need a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carried for the preliminary plat for Blue River Family Dental. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to the public hearing for Jones Place. That's item 5. And we will also hear with that item number 12, the preliminary plat. So I'm going to open the public hearing, and all the guidelines still follow. Public hearing for Jones Place vacation, and I'll ask for exhibits from the attorney.
Madam Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record. Number 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
All right, Chairman Banks. Thank you, Chairman Banks and Commissioners. Before this evening are 2 requests related to Jones Places, which is a new residential development on Southwest 8th Street in the downtown area. The first request is for the vacation of street and alley rights-of-way east of Southwest 8th Street between Main Street and Southwest Jones Street. The streets and alleys were platted as part of Cabell's Edition, which was recorded in 1888, which includes Southwest Jones Street, east of 8th Street, and a north-south and an east-west alley. The property, the land area is currently not developed for public access. Over time, the property to the south of Jones Street right-of-way has utilized the area as a private driveway and constructed part of a deck and detached storage building in the right-of-way. Vacating the right-of-way will allow the proposed development to the north of Jones Street to proceed with a private access drive rather than a public street, which is required to be wider than a private drive. Reducing the access drive width and vacating the right-of-way will allow the vacated area to become private property. putting the deck and accessory structures back on private property. The applicant must work with the property owner to the south to have a shared access easement so that all property owners adjacent to the drive can access Southwest 8th Street. The second request is for a preliminary plat for Jones Places, which is a 10-lot subdivision on 3/4 of an acre. The applicant is proposing 5 paired homes with 0 lot lines, meaning a lot line will split the middle of the building, allowing each unit to be owned individually. The minimum 16-foot lot width has been met for each lot. The only public improvements required are the 5-foot sidewalk along 8th Street per the downtown master plan, and repairs to any public infrastructure that are disturbed during construction. Shared access easement must be dedicated with the final plat for access from Southwest 8th Street to the rear of each lot. Staff does recommend approval of the vacation with 2 conditions and approval of the preliminary plat with 5 conditions, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for staff? Thank you very much. Would the applicant like to come forward? You'll need to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God?
I do. It's Mike Yancic, 1909 Northwest 75th Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64151. Be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Guess not. Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Just left me out easy on that one.
Is there anyone that would like to come forward in favor of this project? In opposition? Yes, ma'am. Did you fill out a request?
No, she came in late.
You came in late? Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Come on. Come in. Come up.
No.
You'll need to come to the podium. And be sworn in, please.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please your name and address.
Shanda Baxter, 605 Southwest 13th Street, Blue Springs, Missouri, 64015. I'm one of the property owners to the house right there, and I didn't get a letter, and neither did my sister or my brother. Just one sister did, and she didn't give it to me until today, or a couple days ago. But I don't know if I need to oppose it or until my other siblings are notified of this. I mean, I don't know if there's anything. We just want, well, the driveway plans in writing, or I mean, on print. Yeah, instead of just said.
Recorded among each owner. Is that what you're?
Yes.
All right. She's wanting to wait till her family is notified.
My brother and
because they
sister,
said
the other owners.
The other, now the owners of the same property that you
Yes.
have.
Yes.
So none of the 3 of you received a letter.
Just one person did.
That's all that's required is whoever.
We're all 4 owners, though.
Okay. I don't know, do we need to send it to all 4 owners? Or just the
I mean, we're all
address?
4 on
Do
the
all
deed.
4, does one of you live in the property?
Yes.
And is that the person that received it?
Yes.
That's what's required.
That's all that's required.
That's what requires. They would have needed to have notified their other co-owners.
Okay. I thought it just, okay. Okay.
Which property are we talking about here?
The one that's in question, I mean, just right next door to it.
The one that
Where the
has
shed
the
and-
deck and the driveway on
Yeah.
the easement currently?
Yes.
Can you make that, can we see that bigger?
See, and it'll take away, well, her
That's
drive-
your property right there?
Yes.
And you're,
Well, we thought it was the whole property up until where the parking lot's at. I mean, we've been maintaining the whole property.
all the way, all that,
Well, no, up where the driveway's at and to the parking lot. All the green?
oh, to the edge?
Yeah. I mean, we've been maintaining it for...
Was there a survey provided when you
30
bought it, or a legal description?
My dad, well, my grandparents owned it before my dad and then us kids.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I've been mowing the yard for over 20 years now. The whole thing. And I don't know if it's true or not, but if you mow something longer than 7 years, they say it's yours.
10, you have to go to court.
To do that.
By prescription, yes.
But if correct me if I'm wrong here, but as part of this vacation, at least half of that area that you're talking about would become yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whenever a street right of way is vacated, in this case, it's a 30-foot wide street, so the south 15 feet would become part of the property of the south, and the north 15 feet would go to the property owner to the north.
So your deck and driveway would now be on your own property instead of on the right of way. So
It would go to where it says 150.
no, halfway there.
Halfway to the 150, right there.
Okay. So then can we just get in, well, the writing or print how they're going to redirect the driveway? And
Yeah, that would be something that they would need to discuss with the applicant.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is the driveway within the 15 feet?
The deck is completely within the 15 feet. Part of the existing, what's been utilized as the driveway, some of that may not be in the 15 feet.
Okay.
And so the applicant on their, let me bring back up the preliminary plat, they have shown how they intend to accommodate that by having a shared drive for both the property to the south as well as the 10 units that will be on the north side of it. And then they've shown an additional driveway on the back side of the house. But that is on private property, so that would be between the two property owners to determine exactly where that lays out.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff now? Is there anyone else here in opposition? Commissioners have any questions? Okay. And then I will go ahead and close the public hearing for Jones Place easement and right-of-way vacation. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Billups.
I would move for approval of vacation 07186490 with the 2 staff conditions.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Peel? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Planning Commissioner Fairbanks.
Aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan.
Aye.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Billups.
Aye.
Commissioner Veal.
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Aye.
Commissioner Casey.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. Okay, that will be the planning hearing, the public hearing vacation, our part motion has been approved. That will go to the city council, our recommendation will go to the city council for August the 20th at 6 p.m. Okay? Now I would entertain a motion, since we heard item 12 as well. I would entertain a motion for the preliminary plat.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peel?
I move that preliminary plat PP 07186491 for Jones Places and the 5 conditions be approved as submitted.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Casey? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Same sign. Okay, that motion carried for the preliminary plat of Jones Place with the 5 conditions. All right. Now we're going to go to item number 6. Hoot Owl Acres. That also goes along with item 7. So we're going to hear the rezoning, the planned development concept, as well as the preliminary plat, item 13, all together. So I'm going to open 2 public hearings. I'm going to open the public hearing for rezoning of Hoot Owl Acres, as well as the public hearing for the planned development concept plan, and ask the attorney to please read the exhibits.
Madam Chairman, for item 6 on the agenda, rezoning RZ 07186479, I offer the following exhibits into the record. Number 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference. And then item 7 is also being heard.
Yes, ma'am.
So for item number 7, planned development concept plan PDC 07186480, I offer the following exhibits into the record. 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mallon.
Thank you. The proposed rezoning, plan development concept plan, and preliminary plat applications for the Hoot Owl Acres project is for the development concept of 24 duplex buildings for a total of 48 dwelling units. The property is located west of Adams Jerry Parkway and north of Major Road, highlighted by the black and white checkered line here, identified as site. The specific applications before you are a rezoning from SF7 or single family 7 with a planned residential overlay and rezoning it to 2-family/planned development or PD. The rezoning would change the designation from SF7 to 2-family, as well as remove the existing planned residential overlay that is from a previous development with a different owner prior to the current owner acquiring the property. The current owner of the property is the Blue Springs Land Bank, or Land Bank of Blue Springs. As part of the rezoning request is also a PD, or planned development designation to help establish development regulations for the property, and the preliminary plat goes along with that to help establish the general framework for the development. As you can see here, the property is zoned SF7 to the west, the adjacent properties, SF7 with a planned development concept to the south, SF7 to the east across Adams Jerry Parkway. However, we do have a rezoning application before you later on in this agenda. Oops. The site is currently vacant. This portion here, this little almost bite mark, if you will, of the property outlined here is a detention pond that serves the properties to the south. It is not a part of this development. The property is approximately 14 acres in size. The proposal is again to rezone to a 2-family planned development designation for the development of 24 duplex buildings, 48 residential units. The planned development designation is being requested to provide alternative development standards that would not be allowed under the current Unified Development Code, and I'll address those here momentarily. The proposed TF or 2-family zoning as the base zoning district would allow the duplex units as a by right development. The building type for a duplex unit in terms of development standards would be a duplex neighborhood lot. The proposed site plan, this one is tilted a little bit to the side so that north is actually on the left-hand side of the screen. Here is that detention tract that is serving the property to the south. Adams Dairy Parkway runs along the top, and this is Major Road. The duplex are arranged along an internal street. The overall project includes amenities for the residents, including a community garden, a gazebo, open space detention area, multiple walking trails, a clubhouse, bocce ball courts, and a dog park. There are significant landscape buffers as required by the Unified Development Code along Adams Dairy Parkway, and internal streets will have 4-foot sidewalks on either side. The proposed development, and I'll let the owner speak to this a little bit more, is for an age-restricted, low-maintenance community. Another term would be zero lot line, in which all of the common open space not covered by building footprints of the duplex buildings would be under a common ownership to maintain a level of continuity in the maintenance of those units and to provide a low-maintenance residential housing type for residents who choose to live here. The comprehensive plan designation for the property is mixed density neighborhood, which is just defined as areas for residential living arranged in a neighborhood pattern with access to supporting uses. Net density is typically between 5 and 12 dwelling units per acre, and a range of housing formats. The removal, as part of the rezoning request, would remove a planned residential overlay zoning district that was part of the previously approved Colonial Highlands development. This property was part of the original Colonial Highlands development when that was originally approved a number of years ago. However, that property owner at the time who had that PRO zoning district established is no longer the developer. The property has changed hands, and now the new developer is coming in to purchase the land from the city's land bank. And in order to develop the duplexes the way they propose, they need to remove the planned residential overlay and also establish the PD and PD concept plan. As mentioned, the PD, or plan development, is a two-part process and a way to facilitate coordinated development that meets or exceeds the intent of the Unified Development Code. The first process is the PD concept plan, which is what is before you this evening. Should that be approved, a PD final plan would also need to be approved, which more fine-tunes the building architecture, landscape plan, elements of that nature. So it's a two-part process. The PD PD designation is a specific type of zoning map amendment, and therefore the rezoning would be to a TF/PD. So I wanted to point that out. And accompanying with that PD designation is that PD concept plan. So what versus a kind of a standard zoning, when you rezone to say the multifamily category, there's usually not a plan that goes along with it at the same time. With a PD designation, there is a plan that goes along with it, and the developer is bound by the what is shown on that plan. And so just wanted to make that clear to you. The PD designation is being requested to allow for the low maintenance or zero lot line development type, and the concept of having the common ownership own the land surrounding the building footprints rather than having each duplex building be on its own lot. The way the Unified Development Code standards provide setbacks for each dwelling unit, and those are predicated on that building footprint being on its own lot. And so if there are multiple units on one lot, then those development standards no longer apply. And so that is why the PD is being requested, is to remove those very specific development standards for that type, and to allow multiple duplex buildings to be on a single lot, and thereby allow for the common ownership of the land surrounding the buildings. Access to the site will be at 3 locations, 2 off of Major Road here and here, and 1 off of Adams Dairy Parkway. This proposed access over here on the left side of the screen will line up with the proposed Hoot Owl Ridge project to the east, and the proposed access here, which is on the west side of Major Road, will line up with the access of the project to the south to not create any conflicts. Stormwater detention will be required on site. A stormwater detention tract is proposed along the north side, adjacent to this utility substation. If anybody's been out there, that's what that would be located next to. Residential projects are required to provide open space based upon a percentage and the type of unit being proposed. For the 2-family zone, a minimum of 15% open space is required. Based upon the approximate size of the site of 13.94 acres, that equates to approximately 2.09 acres of open space. As broken down, they are providing well in excess of that through the clubhouse area, the open space tract C for the dog park, tract B for the recreational or bocce ball courts, tract A, which will double as detention, as well as the balance of this lot over here. I can't really read that, but where the community garden is, and also all of the common area in between the buildings would count as open space as well, due to the number of walking trails and other amenities throughout. So they're providing almost 6.5 acres of open space, which is well above the required 2.09 acres. The duplex buildings would be classified as duplex neighborhood lot. The floor area, although there is no minimum of floor area for a duplex unit, they are proposing a minimum of 1,400 square feet and an average size of approximately 1,500 square feet per duplex unit. Not building, but per residential unit. Parking, each dwelling will have a driveway and attached garage to accommodate the minimum required 2 parking spaces. The PD, again, requested to remove the development standards such as lot frontage, lot size for the lots, which again were more designed for an individual lot, for an individual building. In addition, they're proposing to reduce the front setback along the internal streets for certain units from 25 feet, which would normally be required, to 20 feet, and to then offset and stagger those so that one building would have a 25-foot setback, the next would have a 20, the next would have a 25, and so on, to help create a varied street frontage and streetscape, so it's not all just a line of houses and a line of garages as you go down the street. Also, they are proposing to remove the internal setbacks to the building lot lines, as I mentioned. And in lieu of that, they're proposing a minimum of 20 feet of building separation between all buildings on site. So then, because there are no lot lines between the buildings, there wouldn't be a side setback between the two. So in lieu of that, they're just proposing a minimum of 20-foot separation between all the buildings. In addition, they would like to, or requesting to reduce the required plantings along Adams Dairy Parkway for the Type C buffer from 60 plant units for every 100 feet to 55 plant units for every 100 feet. And that is being requested due to the existing streetscape trees that are already along Adams Dairy Parkway, so that they don't have to install too much landscaping to block the site. And to account for the existing trees. And another request is to shorten the radius for this turn on Hoot Owl Street, which is a little bit sharper of a turn than is typically permitted under code. So those are the plan development modifications to which they are requesting. Project is contemplated to be completed in a single phase. The architecture, conceptual architecture, is of high quality and will utilize a mixture of masonry materials. There are currently 2 building elevations, a duplex type A and a duplex type B. These are the conceptual elevations, as well as the conceptual elevation for the clubhouse. As you can see, a mixture of masonry, pitched roofs, single story in size, with masonry materials on the front, and each duplex unit has a 2-car garage. Again, these are conceptual. Final building elevations will be done through the plan development final plan. Sidewalk improvements would include 4 feet sidewalk or 4-foot sidewalks on both sides of all internal streets. Stormwater detention is being provided in the north part of the project. In addition, street improvements, the developer is responsible for the installation of major road to the west of their property, which is off-site. The required half-road improvements adjacent to this development were completed by the previous development, and therefore, for the developer to complete their fair share of public improvements and roadway work, they're being requested to complete the missing gap of major road. And I believe their engineer could address more of that. Declaration of restrictions, proposed drafts have not been submitted this time, but will need to be submitted with the PD final plan and approved prior to the final plat. That is the staff's overview of the 3 development applications. I will now go through staff's recommendation, and I've broken these down into a recommendation for each of the 3 different applications. And I will first give the criteria upon which, in the Unified Development Code, the application should be reviewed, and then give you staff's response. So this may be a little bit long-winded, but I want to make sure to have it on the record as to staff's recommendation for each of the separate applications. So, for the zoning review criteria, the first criteria is that the application is in accordance with the comprehensive plan. Staff response is that the proposed rezoning from SF7 PRO to 2-family PD is in accordance with the comprehensive plan designation of mixed density neighborhood, which are areas for residential living arranged in neighborhood pattern with a range of housing format, including small-scale multi-unit housing that includes 2, 3, and 4 plexes. In this case, they're proposing duplexes. Appropriate locations, according to the comprehensive plan, are typically the corners of important intersections, along block faces that front civic space, or end caps of blocks on larger streets. Staff believes that the location of proposed development at the intersection of Adams Dairy Parkway and Major Road is an appropriate location under that description under the comprehensive plan. The second criteria is that the application furthers the intent of the proposed zoning district and supports that of abutting zoning districts. Proposed TF PD zoning district serves as a transition in zoning classification and intensity of land use between an arterial street, which is Adams Dairy Parkway, and adjacent single-family detached housing as you progress to the west from that road, and thereby furthers the intent of the base zoning district and supports adjacent zoning districts and is compatible with other similarly styled building types in the area. There are duplexes to the west of this, out closer to 7 Highway, and there are some duplex buildings even further south as part of the Colonial Highlands development along Wyatt Road. So proposed TF PD zone is compatible with both of those, as well as the existing single-family and currently being developed single-family homes in the area. The third criteria is that the precedents that might result from approval or denial and the possible effects of such precedents on the character of the area, and in particular the building form, site design, and development patterns. Staff believes that the proposed rezoning and accompanying PD concept plan provide for a high-quality level of urban design through the building form, site design, and other development characteristics. Staff feels that this is a high-quality development in terms of not only building design, but also the amenities being provided, and provides a low-maintenance style community that is an alternative housing type that adds to the housing mix of available options for Blue Springs residents. The fourth criteria is compliance with any proposed developments with the requirements of the UDC. The proposed Application comply with all aspects of the UDC except those alternative development standards contained within the Plan Development Concept Plan, which staff believes meet the intent and purpose of the Unified Development Code to regulate and restrict development and use of buildings within each zoning district to create a compatible scale and range of building types within districts. Staff believes that the intent of the UDC to have building forms and land uses within this district is comparable and compatible with adjacent properties and proposed developments. The fifth criteria is the ability of the city to provide services and facilities to the project. City's services are and all utilities are all available to the site. The effect of approval on the condition or value of property in the vicinity, including the likelihood of surrounding areas to be developed in accordance with the comprehensive plan. Staff's response is that approval of the rezoning and plan approval of the rezoning would allow for the development of vacant parcel with residential dwelling units that are compatible in size and scale in terms of building form of adjacent properties, and thus would not negatively impact the condition or value of property within the city. Surrounding properties are also designated as mixed density neighborhood, and therefore this proposal is compliance with the comprehensive plan designation of adjacent properties, and therefore would not negatively impact those properties' ability to be developed in accordance with the comp plan. Number 7, the requested change in zoning is justified by a change in condition since the existing zoning was designated. The zoning is being requested is justified by a change in conditions. As I mentioned earlier, the property owner has changed. There's a new developer proposing a new development type on the property. Since the time of the original Colonial Highlands zoning and the planned residential overlay, single-family detached housing, which is what was called for in the original Colonial Highlands plan, has continued to constitute a large part of the residential development pattern within Blue Springs. And a number of other single-family detached subdivisions are being developed or are planned to be developed. However, as population demographics continue to evolve over time, there is market need for a variety of housing types as identified in our comprehensive plan, including age-restricted, low-maintenance, and attached housing products. Proposed rezoning would allow duplex residential units to provide another housing type that allows Blue Springs residents to continue living within the city as their housing needs change over time. The 8th criteria is the consistency of the application with other adopted policies of the city. The application is consistent with other adopted policies of the city to include a range of housing options and integrating housing choices into neighborhoods and corridors. The review criteria for the PD concept plan are that the plan represents an improvement over what could have been accomplished through strict application of otherwise applicable base zoning district standards. Staff believes that the proposed PD concept plan does provide a unique housing product type in the city through the development of a low-maintenance duplex community with common open spaces surrounding the buildings and a coordinated master plan. As I mentioned a few times, the proposed community with the common open space around the buildings couldn't be developed under our standard two-family zoning, thus the PD is being requested. The second criteria is the benefits of any flexibility in the standards, promote the general and public health, safety, and welfare, and in particular the areas immediately near or within the proposed project. The benefits of flexibility in the standards do promote the public health, safety, and welfare. The proposed development provides a unique housing product again and a coordinated development that maximizes open spaces around the perimeter of the project, adjacent to external streets, and also provides for ample open space within the project itself. The third criteria is the benefits of flexibility in the zoning standards meet or exceed the intent of the base zoning district. Staff does believe that the proposed standards in the plan development concept plan do meet or exceed the intent of the base zoning district two-family criteria in the Unified Development Code and will create a cohesive development with high-quality building design and plentiful amenities. And the final criteria is that the plan reflects generally accepted and sound planning and urban design principles, and staff does believe that the plan for the PD concept plan does reflect accepted and sound planning and urban design principles. And the final criteria is that a PD concept plan has to meet all of the review criteria of a zoning map amendment. And staff believes, as I noted previously when I went through the conditions for the zoning amendment, that staff believes that it does meet those criteria. The preliminary plat staff criteria is that and staff reviewed all of these and does believe that the preliminary plat criteria have been met for all of these. And I'll just run through these quickly. Or that the application is in accordance with the comprehensive plan, compliance with the requirements of the development code, as amended through a plan development concept. Phasing in the application is clearly indicated. In this case, it's all going to be developed in one phase. Impacts identified by specific studies and technical reports are mitigated through sound planning. We have not finalized any preliminary reports such as traffic or drainage, but those would need to be reviewed and approved prior to the final PD final plan and final plat, and any impacts that would have on the site plan would need to be updated and shown on those documents. The design does not impede the construction of future public infrastructure and the recommendations of professional staff. To conclude, staff recommends approval of all three applications. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning. Staff recommends approval of the plan development concept plan subject to the 4 conditions in the staff report. And staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat application subject to the 12 conditions in the staff report. I know that was a lot to take in. I'm happy to answer any questions before turning it over to the applicant.
Are there any questions for Commissioner Billups?
I'll try and... it looks like these are going to be set up where they could be sold individually. Is that the plan? Do you know?
Yes. My understanding, and I can allow the applicant's representative to speak to it more, but it is my understanding that these are going to be for sale units.
And are there any current plans on the books for the property directly to the west of this property? I don't believe there are.
No, there are no current applications that we have received, and we have not received any pre-application meeting requests for the plan directly to the west of this site yet. I will say we have had general inquiries come into the planning office, but we have not seen any formal applications or even informal applications to date.
There was something else and I've completely lost it now.
Commissioner Fairbanks.
Have you checked with the emergency people about that shortened turn radius on that first street?
Up here, we do send our plans to the appropriate fire protection districts. I do not believe we have heard from them on that. However, as part of the final design, I know our engineering folks would look at a turning radius to make sure that any kind of emergency vehicles can make that turn.
Okay.
So that would be done as part of the final plat analysis.
Okay. You mentioned also that this is age restricted. So does that mean there won't be any children in the area?
I believe the intent is to have it be age restricted. There would not be any city imposed zoning or any city conditions that it needs to be age restricted or that only residents of a certain age could live there or any of that. I think the applicant can discuss what their development intent is, but it's been communicated to staff that it's the intent of the project to be that way, but we don't have any mechanisms within our zoning code to force it to be that way.
Okay. What about a homeowners association to take care of the exterior?
Yes, there would be a homeowners association required to be filed, and with the final plat, we would assign maintenance of the landscape tracts and all common open space not owned by individual units. We would assign that to be maintained by that homeowners association.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Billups?
You asked one of the questions that I had forgotten. Thank you. The street is a public street, correct?
That's correct.
It's not a private street?
That's correct. It would be a public street with the built to public street standards with the required sidewalks.
Thank you.
Could I ask you too, is there any reason why they cannot make that turn bigger? I mean, is there anything where the curve that you're concerned about?
Our engineering staff looked at it and didn't have any major concerns with it, but haven't had a full study review of their traffic impact analysis yet. Tom, I can either leave that to the applicant to address, or if you would like to.
Yeah, I mean, typically we like to have like a 185-foot radius, excuse me, on our residential streets. It's stop condition, and as far as emergency vehicles making turns, it's no different than a standard, four-way intersection where you have a 25-foot radius, so emergency vehicles will be able to make that turn.
Okay.
But we don't have any issue, like I say, since it's stop condition, usually the 185 is for safety and traveling at speed, so we'll compromise with that.
Okay, thank you. All right, are there any other questions of the staff? Would the applicant like to come forward? You'll need to be sworn in.
He was
Again,
already.
this is for this project.
You solemnly swear to the testimony about giving this case to be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Need your name and address.
My name is Jeremy Powell. I'm with Powell CWM. Our office address is 3200 South State Route 291 in Independence, Missouri, and we are the design team on this project. I'm here tonight to represent JW Properties for the change of zoning for Houdow Acres. As staff has noted, the request of change of zoning from SFPRO to TFPR. Houdow Acres is intended to be an age-restricted development, owner-occupied units, and a low-maintenance community. There are many shared amenities throughout the development, and they will be maintained by the HOA. As you can see from these preliminary elevations, we are proposing an upscaled two-family dwelling. There will be two different elevations, 4 color schemes, and all units will be 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, and a full basement. The size of each unit will be around 1,500 square feet, and no two identical units will be set side by side. To avoid the Army barracks looks that you see in many developments, we are proposing to stagger these from a 20-foot setback to a 25-foot setback. Even with the 25-foot setback, there will be adequate driveway space to keep vehicles from overhanging sidewalks. The community, as staff said, the community is full of amenities, a clubhouse, 6.5 acres of open space, free of any improvements except for amenities, around 1,600 linear foot of walking trails that link both the Adams Dairy sidewalks and the major road sidewalks. There will be community gardens, bocce ball courts, a dog park, and gazebos and many shelters. The clubhouse in this community will provide the residents with a place to gather and connect. And the clubhouse will be over 2,000 square feet and contain a billiards and game room, arts and craft room, multi-use meeting room, kitchen area, and fireplace. On August 8th, we held a community meeting to make sure that this development will fit in the existing neighborhoods and to help us understand and address existing concerns. Both Houdow Acres and Houdow Ridge, which you will hear next, were discussed. During this meeting, there were 4 major concerns that were brought up numerous times and discussed in details. They were existing drainage issues and the impact this development will have on them. Preserving the existing tree line that separates Houdow Ridge, which will be on the east side, and Willow Tree, sorry. There were concerns that this development would not be age restricted, and the fear that this development will become rentals. Stormwater management is a major concern with all developments, and our firm takes it very seriously when planning a development. There is an unnamed tributary that runs through Willow Tree that we were told tops its banks about 6 times a year. And many trees are washed down and cause blockage at the culvert pipe at the north end of Willow Tree, which is, that pipe is off the screen here. But this is your unnamed tributary that runs through Willow Tree. The streets in Willow Tree are asphalt roads, no curb or road ditches. So rainwater runs the road surfaces and puddles in low spots. This development was done in the county and then annexed into Blue Springs. Unfortunately, our development will not solve these problems, but our design will do everything it can to reduce additional negative impacts. As you can see, this is Hoodow Acres, and this is Hoodow Ridge, which we will discuss next. Things that we see that we could help with the existing drainage is there are 3 area inlets here, here, and here that were installed at the time of Adam Dairies Parkway. This water is piped over to the east side of the road and runs these ditches that I believe have been caused by the storm drainage discharge. We propose eliminating these inlets and detaining the water on the west side of the parkway in a basin in the north corner of Willow Tree, of Hoodow Acres, and we're proposing a basin in Hoodow Ridge. Since we are only in the entitlement phase of this project, the exact design of the stormwater system has not yet been completed, but I can say the design and construction of all stormwater management will be in accordance with the APWA 5600 storm drainage and systems and facilities and any additional requirements that the City of Blue Springs has. The design will not increase any peak flow, and that is in accordance with APWA 5600. And it will be, the basins will accommodate to handle the 100-year rain event. Since day one, our intent of this development is to be an age-restricted development, and as such, many of the amenities that are being proposed are suited for age-restricted communities. Our real estate team believes that this development will offer baby boomers with an upscale living option that is not currently offered in Blue Springs. And this community will be owner-occupied. Restrictions will be put in place to keep it that way. We believe that this development works for this location and ask for the grant of rezoning. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sir, I do have a question. You're
Yes,
talking
ma'am.
about age restricted, which I understand Commissioner Fairbanks mentioned too. Since this is age, are you going to be looking at, are they looking at the 62 and over?
I
Or
believe it to be
80% being-
55 and over.
Pardon me?
I believe it to be 55 and older.
Okay. So it will, actually won't be baby boomers necessarily.
I guess that might be, that's
But
correct.
you only have to have 80% over, at least one in, 80% have to be at least 55. So it won't really be an age restricted. You can have 20-year-olds in there. So if it's age restricted.
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Well, I just wanted to find out if it's age restricted with 62 and over. That's what
Okay.
my point was. So, all right.
I'll make note of the 62 age restriction.
Pardon me?
I'll make note of that.
Okay. Any other questions?
I do have one other thing to mention regarding the turn radius
Yes.
that's been brought up. We have ran turn vehicle analysis, and we will be widening that street from the normal 28-foot back of curb to 32 to help accommodate those turn radiuses.
That's good.
So,
Any other questions? Commissioner Phillips?
I'm not, we're talking about the age restriction a little bit. Is there going to be an actual deed restriction or anything to accomplish that? Or is it just going to be, the amenities are going to suggest that that's the way we're going?
it is my understanding it will be in the deed restrictions along with the owner-occupied requirement.
Okay. And this is just an observation on my part and a comment for you to take back. I fully appreciate the two things you said about staggering the buildings so that every other building is 5 foot back from, back and forth, and also every other building is a different design. What you create by doing that is all of the buildings on the front are one design, and all the buildings that are 5 foot behind are a different design. So maybe some of the buildings could be side by side, so that some of the one design is in the front and some of the other design is in the back, if you follow my meaning.
I do, and we've
Or
done
that every
that.
building isn't every other building is staggered.
Correct.
You might look at that a little bit so that there's a little bit more variety that way, instead of each, one building is all in the front and one building is all in the back.
We currently have development in Belton that's similar to this, and we've discussed adding a third elevation, and then it's every third you're staggered,
That would also address the issue, what I'm seeing there as a concern.
Are there any other questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, I would, if someone would like to come forward, is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to, this is Hoot Owl Acres, and I see that there's Miss Seymour? Mrs.? I never know, so I just, if you'll need to come in and be sworn in, please.
You sound swear the testimony about giving this case to the truth, so you got it.
My name is Lynn Lee Cutlass Seymour. I live at 4301 Southeast Willow Place Court in the Willow Tree subdivision. Which I noticed during all the discussion today, it was never marked on any of the plans where the RE zone facilities are. So I was wondering if if you'd be kind enough to share with everybody where the RE zoning starts in regard to this position.
The RE zoning is the dark green up here. So that would be to the north. This is Adams Dairy Parkway, Major Road. This is the site for Hoot Owl Acres. This is the site for Hoot Owl Ridge, and this is RE.
So when you talk about having an area that's transitioning from an RE, we don't really feel that multifamily is a good transition area from the RE buildings there to multifamily. We feel very strongly that does not create that. And also this multifamily, while there is a good intent, we believe, by the developer, they've not presented anything to us as a homeowners association, anything that would guarantee that the level of quality is there would be any age restrictions. They have not demonstrated where that could be. And so regardless of how this comes out today, I would like to understand how the transfer of property from the land bank to a developer can help enforce or add to those requirements. Does that make sense? My understanding in the land bank rules is that you can place some restrictions when the land is transferred, and so whatever you ultimately agree to here, we'd hope could be codified in that transition. As many of you may know, the area that they're talking about developing there and as far as Hoot Owl Ridge was part of the nursery. I have to admit it was a very sad day when they bulldozed those trees. I physically cried. I walk that area quite frequently. But not only did they bulldoze the trees there, but they also changed the topography there. They went through there with graders and it changed the topography. So the drainage did change significantly. And I would encourage the city to go out and walk both of those properties currently so they can see the areas that have turned into wetlands or collecting water. My understanding is the city actually hasn't been out and walked either of these two properties yet. I really would encourage them to do that. I'm going to speak of some items that came out of the meeting the community meeting that we had, and he did get some of the meeting items correct. Could you bring up the plat map, please? One of the things that we're very concerned about is the traffic. Actually, the drawing that shows the Willow Tree subdivision would be a good one that shows the road on it. Yeah, currently, when you pull up onto Willow Place Court, you cannot see up over the hill to the south. It's a traffic hazard. And I don't know if any of you live in that area. Even if you live in the surrounding subdivisions, you can also hear the racing that goes down up and down Adams Dairy Parkway. It's a great drag strip, actually. So the fact that you've got that there, that you've got sight issues, and then right at the top there, you're going to put another intersection with sight issues, we are concerned about that. So we'd like the city to make sure that's addressed in their traffic plan. I talked a little bit about the fact that there is no transition there to multifamily, and we think that that lack of transition is definitely going to affect the values of the homes in our subdivision. We've seen other property values impacted by the installation of multifamily. We talked about it earlier tonight. In smaller developments, we thoroughly believe it's going to happen to the Willow Place community here as well. And that's a fairly significant impact to the city of Blue Springs should the value of the housing in that subdivision decrease. I mean, I'd be happy that my taxes went down, but I don't really think that's the intent. Also note that when the developer talked to us, he did not propose that this would be developed over a fixed period of time. He implied to us it would be built as items sold. So that also worried us a little bit because, yeah, they may start out intending to build 55 plus and with these nice designs, but he did not have a fixed time period where they intended to develop. It would be as sold. My understanding, and I would like to recommend that the city look into it, confirm it, but the properties that are being built to the south of Hoot Owl Ridge, my understanding is that those are intended, have transitioned and now intended to be rental properties. So we're hearing that quite a bit, that the homes and the duplexes that are going on in that area are also going to transition to be rentals. So when we hear that, and then we hear this gentleman, I don't want to call him guy, this gentleman comes in and talks to us, it really got the members of the subdivision excited. There again, I do disagree with some of the findings in the report from staff where it talked about the quality of this. You know, the residential estates, I would say, would be high quality residential construction, and I don't feel this is compatible at all with that. A couple other things back to the storm drainage and runoff. My experience is that these detention ponds sometimes have a tendency to become just mosquito farms. I think there's other ways that the city should consider gathering the water, whether it's through rain gardens or permeable pavers. There's some better technology that can be used than just gathering this rainwater into a pond that, you know, really is the city going to enforce the homeowners association to make sure that that pond stays mowed and clean and attractive? Or is it going to become a place where kids can go in and hide and play and a few other things that we all know we did as children? I think I've hit most of these. I really do want to encourage the city to go out and take a look at the existing topography. I think there are some better options there for this site than multifamily. Even small residential homes that are for senior housings would be more appropriate as a transition. But to go directly to multifamily when you've got your residential estate right next door, I think is just not appropriate. So, any questions for me?
Are there any questions? Yes, Commissioner Fairbanks.
I don't believe that duplexes are necessarily multifamily. I think duplexes are two families. And I know there's a lot of development in Lee Summit right along Woods Chapel Road. And those are all duplexes for over 55 people. And they look very good to me.
They do look very good to them. In fact, I've looked at them because we considered moving into one of them. And that was about 8 years ago, and they haven't really sold very well. So that development's been there for quite a few years now, and they have not sold well. And they are. So I would look at the sales history of that.
Well, I have a friend that just bought in there in the spring.
Yeah, good.
And she's delighted.
Good, I'm glad to hear that.
You know, I think that there's a lot of similar type areas that have been successful.
And I do, you know, I'm of that age group, and I do agree that we need some more senior housing. I just don't think the multifamily, even dual family right here is the right spot for it. I definitely agree that the city needs more housing geared towards seniors. So maybe you put it further to the west. You asked, has anybody brought any plans in further to the west? Maybe it goes further to the south where some of the other multifamily buildings are. But I think right here, this is really, I would oppose the change in zoning to two-family here.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, thank you very much. Okay, is there any other general discussion? None? Did anybody else wish to speak? Come on in.
I'm sorry, I only got here as you were calling the 1 minute, so I didn't have time to fill anything out.
Go ahead and are you in opposition, or are you in favor, or?
Opposition.
Okay, if you will be sworn in.
Okay.
You sound swear the testimony about in this case,
Yes, sir. My name is Chris Hendricks. I live on the corner of Adams Dairy and Willow Place, where that top, so would be next one down.
Oh, sir, what was your last name again?
It's Hendricks.
Hendricks, and
Yeah.
could you give us your address?
It's 800 Southeast Willow Place, Blue Springs, Missouri, 6414. Yeah, sorry. I actually just built that house. I came from the Eagles Ridge House subdivision where we built that house previously. It was slated to have two family homes in a small section of it, which they built out. And as soon as they built those out, they expanded to create more two-family homes, behind it. And actually, if you go back to the site map where it shows the colors, you can see where it eventually comes over. Yeah, the next one down. Yeah, you can see where you guys have approved it, the two-family homes all the way over from basically the center of that all the way over to 7 Highway. And currently there's about 235 two-family units between 7 Highway, Adams Dairy, Wyatt Road to the county substation. Currently, there's only approximately 75 to 80 single-family homes in that same section. So to me, I feel like if we're going to add more two-family homes, eventually the single-family homes between the two families are just going to be flipped to two families as well, and it's just going to be a giant two-family, complex, which, I didn't necessarily have a ton of issues with, crime or anything like that. Our bigger issue was parking. They were parking on the streets. The streets were 28 feet wide. The driveways were not big enough. They're requesting driveways to be even shorter by asking for a 20-foot variance, losing essentially another 5 feet. So that became a big issue. Another issue was, we had a lot of trash just blowing it, like little garbage, blowing around just because, people didn't care. They just threw it out. That was my biggest issue with them. And so I don't know if, being a 55 plus, if that would really be an issue. But the developer was quick to say in our meeting, if I don't sell so many units so quickly, pulling that off, and it'll be a free-for-all for whoever will be willing to give me money. So that's, my concern. The 55 plus would be great, but if there's no way to, enforce it, he's already quickly said, well, I'll be happy to get rid of it, at the drop of a hat if I feel like there's not enough money in there quick enough. So that's just my, my thought process on it.
Are there any questions for it? Any other questions? Thank you very much for coming forward. Any comments or discussion? Anyone else that wanted to come forward? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. This is on Hoot Owls. And that was for items 6, 7, and 13. We will make motions separately. We'll vote on them separately. Okay. I would entertain a motion on the public hearing of rezoning.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Peel?
I move that rezoning RZ 07186479 for Hoot Owl Acres be denied.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We will have a roll call vote.
Okay. Planning Commissioner Sanderson?
Nay.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Duhan?
Aye.
Commissioner Haney?
Aye.
Commissioner Billups?
No.
Commissioner Veal?
Nay.
Okay. Did you second?
She seconded.
Yeah, so you're an aye.
Oh, okay, aye, sorry.
Okay, let me make sure that they understand that.
Yeah, this is...
Okay, this is to be, the motion that was, I want to make sure everybody understands. The public hearing motion was for this to be denied. So, yes.
Yeah, but she can second it and vote the other way.
Yes, she can.
Yeah.
So if you
Well, I
want,
meant to vote no for it.
So you,
you want to
no,
vote.
to not deny? No
To deny,
No
to deny.
That's a
You want
yes
to
vote.
vote?
Okay.
That's a yes vote.
Yes.
Okay, a yes would be to deny, a no would be to not deny.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Cradoff?
Nay.
Commissioner Casey?
Nay.
Commissioner Graham?
Nay.
Commissioner Fairbanks?
Aye.
Chairman Banks?
Yes. Aye.
6. 2, 3, 4, 5. It has been denied. The motion has been, it's denied. The
This
rezoning
vote-
has been denied.
The rezoning has been denied.
Is that right?
The-
Or the motion to deny has been denied?
The motion to deny has been denied. It's been approved.
Okay, I was going to say, there's too much of this stuff tonight. Okay, the motion to deny has
Been approved.
been approved.
The vote's 6 to 5.
No,
What do you know?
the motion to deny failed. Is that what you're telling
No.
me?
No, it's been
It's
approved.
been approved, okay. Man. We'll have to siphon this all out. Did you get, no. Okay.
Thought I heard more no's than yeses.
Okay. All right, now we'll go to the public hearing for the planned development concept. Oh, that will go to the city council, by the way, August the 20th, 2018 at 6 p.m. Okay, the public hearing, planned development concept plan. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that Plan Development Concept Plan PDC 07186480 for Goodell Acres with the 4 conditions be denied.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, roll call vote.
This is to deny the planned development concept plan for Hoot Owl Acres.
Okay.
Okay. Planning Commissioner Duhan.
Aye.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Billups.
No.
Commissioner Veal.
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Nay.
Commissioner Casey.
Nay.
Commissioner Graham.
Nay.
Commissioner Fairbanks.
Aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye.
And the denial has been approved.
Okay, the public hearing for the planned development concept plan for Hoot Owl has been denied. Correct?
Correct. The denial has been approved.
The denial has been approved. I just want to make sure that everybody understands what we just did.
Okay, and we have number 13.
Okay, now we have number 13, the preliminary plat for Hoot Owl with 12 conditions. I entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peel?
I move that preliminary plat PP 07186494 for Hoot Owl Acres with the 12 conditions be denied.
I'll second.
Commissioner Fairbanks? All right, this is just all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign.
No.
We're gonna have a roll call.
Yes. Planning Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Billups.
No.
Commissioner Veal.
Nay.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Nay.
Commissioner Casey.
Nay.
Commissioner Graham.
Nay.
Commissioner Fairbanks.
Aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Nay.
Commissioner Duhan.
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye.
Six. Oh, that's different.
Okay.
Okay.
The
The
denial
denial
of
is
the
not
preliminary plat failed, or
It did not-
was lost.
Yes.
Lost. Okay, good. I would entertain another motion to approve it. If I,
How could we, I mean, this is probably a procedural question, but if the rezoning was denied, how could we go ahead and vote on the preliminary plat?
Because the council could still approve it.
Yes.
yes. Because if the city council, it has to go in front of the city council. And on August the 20th, if they approve that, then we have to do something with the preliminary plat here.
It doesn't come back to us?
No. We've already heard it. So we have the preliminary plat. We can have another motion. So you don't have to. It'll just go to them and they'll make the decision. We can make our recommendation to city council and they can go from there. Okay. All right. Now we have items 8, 9, and 14 left. That is the public hearing rezoning for Hoot Owl Ridge and the planned development concept for Hoot Owl Ridge, as well as the preliminary plat. I'm going to open the public hearing and ask for exhibits from the city attorney.
Madam Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record for the rezoning hearing RZ 07186495. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan. For public hearing on Plan Development Concept Plan PDC 07186496, I offer the following exhibits into the record. 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 28, 2018. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Okay. Staff, Mr. Mallon.
Thank you. This is a request for a rezoning, plan development, including the concept plan and a preliminary plat. Proposed project is located east of Adams Dairy Parkway and generally north of Major Road, highlighted here by the black and white checkered line. Property is approximately 26 acres in size. The existing zoning is SF, or single family 7, with a planned residential overlay. The proposed rezoning would remove the planned residential overlay. It would retain the base zoning district of SF single family 7 and add a PD or planned development designation to the property. Removal of the planned residential overlay would be to remove the restrictions and development patterns established with the previous Colonial Highlands development plan, and the new planned development concept plan would establish a new development pattern, lot layout, and development standards. The proposed development includes 31 single-family detached large lots, as well as 5 open space and landscape tracts that provide detention, open space, and landscape buffering. The proposed 31 single-family detached lots range in size from a little over 1/3 of an acre in size all the way up to 3.5 acres in size, with an average lot size of almost 3/4 of an acre. The PD plan development is being requested to allow a detached house large lot building type with those appropriate development standards and setbacks to apply to all of the different lot sizes within the same subdivision, so that you don't have different setbacks for the smaller lots, or different setbacks for the half-acre lots, or different setbacks for the 3.5-acre lot. The PD would be is being requested to have a uniform and cohesive development set of regulations for the entire process. That is generally the other reasons why the PD is being requested are for a couple of lot frontage widths that I'll show you, but it's to be able to develop that range of large lot sizes all within that single building type of large lot. Let's see if I miss anything there. So here is the property again, SF7. Property to the east is zone ag. Property to the north is residential estate. Property to the west is SF7, as well as the property to the south. Hopefully everybody is okay. The plan, again,
Let them come in here.
plan development designation, apologize, dog barking, is variety of lot sizes and the development standards to fit all the lots. Access to the site the site is currently vacant. It does sit south of the Willow Tree subdivision, which is here to the north. The proposed lot layout, again, north is to the left-hand side of your screen. Adams Dairy Parkway 1 runs across from left to right, and this is Major Road. There would be 2 access points into the development, one from Adams Dairy Parkway, and then one from a newly constructed Major Road. The developer would be required to construct Major Road. The largest lot in the subdivision would be the almost 3.5 acre lot that is over in this location. The smallest lot is, I think, right here, and then the rest of these lots have a minimum lot width of 100 feet and are generally half acre in size, give or take. These 2 lots here, 22 and 21, at the end of this cul-de-sac, are kind of a pie-shaped lot and do not meet the minimum 101 foot minimum lot width that is required under the detached house large lot development standards. And so that's one of the things that they're asking for a reduction in the planned development. Each of those lots is well over a half acre in size. It's just given the shape that they're not being able to meet that lot frontage. They'd still be able to accommodate a driveway. It's just that they're a little bit unique in shape, and so that's why they're requesting that PD for those 2 lot frontages and the maximum lot size. Stormwater would be required to be detained on site, as shown in this detention pond here. There are amenities being provided in the subdivision as well through an open space tract B here with a playground area and a combination open space detention area here with a pavilion and another amenity, which I believe at this time is conceptually horseshoe pits. Along Adams Dairy Parkway, there's an existing sidewalk, and within the 25-foot landscape buffer, which is a requirement, landscape buffer type C, they are proposing 5 benches and sidewalk connections to the existing sidewalk to provide breaks for those sidewalk users to help amenitize that landscape buffer to serve a dual purpose. The open space requirements for 26 acres is at 10% for single-family zoning, so it's approximately 2.62 acres. The open space is provided in tract A, B, and then the tracts along Adams Dairy Parkway, which are serving a dual landscape buffer, but also an open space tract, come out to 2.63 acres, so they are over their required open space amounts. 31 dwelling units over 23 acres is 1.35 dwelling units per acre, which is in compliance with the zoning, the SF7 zoning. Building typology would be detached house large lot, which is accommodate 1 dwelling unit on its own lot. The minimum square footage for the house sizes are 2,400 square feet, which would be classified as a Class B. Minimum livable floor area. The code says you can't have a minimum livable floor area that is a class lower than any adjacent subdivision. Because Willow Tree subdivision was not developed when these new class subdivision standards were implemented, we don't know the minimum or the average lot size, but the maximum class is Class A, and that is a 2,600 square foot floor area, and so a step down from that would be 24. So this complies with that regulation. Building elevations have not been submitted at this time, however, would need to come through for submittal at the time of the PD final plan and the final plat. There is a buffer type C required along Adams Dairy Parkway. And the lot size, so the specific development standards that they're asking to get rid of, the minimum lot size, or to have different ones, are the minimum lot size frontage for a detached house large lot is 101 feet to 150 feet. The 3.5 acre property has a lot frontage of 320 feet, and so that does not fall within that, so they would be requesting to not have a maximum lot density or lot minimum frontage on that one. And also under lot area for a detached house large lot, that lot area is intended for a 12,000 square foot to a 1 acre lot. And so again, the 3.49 or roughly 3.5 acre lot is outside of that window, and so they'd be asking to not have a maximum lot size for that development standard, so that this could all be developed as one cohesive neighborhood rather than having different development standards for different lots within the subdivision. Property is served by all public utilities, public improvements. There will be a 4-foot sidewalk required on the local streets, on one side of all local streets within the development. And the major road would need to be improved to city standards with, I believe, an 8-foot biking trail on the south side, an 8-foot bike trail along the south side of Major Road. Street trees will be required per code, and again, the buffer C is required along Adams Dairy Parkway. Stormwater detention is provided, and a final development plan, PD final development plan, or final plan, and a final plat would need to be submitted and approved, and as part of those, the declarations of restrictions and homeowners association declaration documents would need to be submitted and approved at that time as well. Staff's review of the rezoning criteria is that the proposed rezoning from SF7 PRO to SF7 PD is in accordance with the comprehensive plan designation. The designation for the property is mixed density neighborhood, which are areas for residential living with a range of housing formats. The application furthers the intent of the S7 zoning district by providing for detached housing. The removal of the PRO allows the property to be developed with a new concept for lots that are actually larger than previously approved, that support and are compatible with adjacent zoning districts. Approval of the zoning allows for a large lot subdivision that will further contribute to high quality residential character of adjacent subdivisions and enhance existing or proposed developments in the area. Proposed development will comply with the requirements of the Unified Development Code, except as requested as part of the Planned Development Concept Plan, which allows for a range of larger lot sizes and appropriate lot widths within a singular coordinated neighborhood development. The city is able to provide all services and facilities for the proposed development. Approval of the rezoning would not have any negative impact on surrounding areas. Will allow for the development of a vacant parcel of land with large lot residential dwelling units that are compatible in scale and intensity of adjacent properties, and thus will not negatively impact the condition of property within the vicinity. Requested change in zoning is justified by a change in conditions since the existing zoning was designated. Again, this is a new owner and a new developer, and the new proposal is for larger lots than previously approved. And therefore, staff believes it will help provide a high-quality housing option for residents in the city. The application is consistent with other adopted policies and plans of the city, and therefore staff recommends approval of rezoning. The review criteria for the Planned Development Concept Plan, staff believes that the PD concept plans provides a desirable housing product type in the city through the development of larger lots within a singular subdivision that also offers a range of lot sizes in that subdivision. The benefits of any flexibility in the proposed standards provide a desirable housing product and is compatible with adjacent neighborhoods. The benefits in this flexibility in the standards meet or exceed the intent of the base zoning district, and staff does believe that the intent of the Unified Development Code regulations for detached house large lot are being met, with those few minor adjustments to remove the maximum lot size and the maximum lot width, and that is that those requests are in keeping with the intent to provide a high quality large lot development. And finally, second to last, that the plan reflects generally accepted and sound planning principles. And finally, that the plan meets the REAP criteria of a zoning amendment. And as staff said earlier, we recommend approval of the zoning map amendment, that it does meet the criteria for that. The preliminary plat, staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat as well. The application is in accordance with the comprehensive plan, complies with the requirements of the development code and proposed concept plan, gives a logical and coordinated approach to development, identifies specific studies and technical reports which will need to be submitted as part of the final plan and final plat reviews to ensure sound planning, engineering, and urban design solution. The application does not deter any existing or future development on adjacent property from meeting the goals of the comprehensive plan. The design does not impede construction of future public facilities, and the recommendations of city staff. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning as mentioned, approval of the plan development concept plan subject to the 4 conditions in the staff report, and approval of the preliminary plat subject to the 12 conditions in the staff report. That concludes staff's presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Commissioners, do you have any questions? I guess not. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Would the applicant like to come forward? And since we're at this time, do you need him to go ahead and swear in again?
Yes, sir. You sound swear in the testimony about giving this case to the truth of God.
I do.
If you'll give us your name and address again.
My name is Jeremy Powell. I am with Powell CWM Inc. and our office is located at 3200 South State Route 291, Independence, Missouri.
Thank you.
Again, I'm here to represent J.W. Larkin Properties for the change of zoning for, from change of zoning from SFPRO to SFPD. As staff mentioned, Hoot Owl Ridge will have 31 single-family lots ranging from 0.3 acres to 3.4 acres, with the average lot size of 0.57. We're proposing a minimum livable floor area of 2,400 square foot. Put that into perspective to Willow Tree, it has a HOA requirement of 1,800 square feet. So we are stepping up the size of this development to our neighbors. That's about all I have to add. I'm open to any questions you might have.
Okay, Commissioner Billups.
Can I ask what the thought process was for lot 15 being so much larger than all the other lots?
The developer will be building on that lot, and he's looking about $1 million home.
So he's definitely
invested in both
comfortable with living with all of these houses next to him.
He is, and he's very comfortable living with the $300,000 duplexes across the road.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. All right. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this project? Yes, ma'am. And again, you'll need to be sworn in.
You sound swear in the testimony about giving this case to the truth of God.
If you will, give us your name and address again.
Sure. My name is Lynn Licola Seymour, and I live at 4301 Southeast Willow Place Court in Blue Springs.
Okay.
And we do approve this project as a group of the homeowners. We're glad to see the large lots. We're glad to see a range of builders in the property. We just had some minor things that we would like to see addressed. We'd like to see the detention pond rather than in one area that backs up into the creek that we've had hydrology problems with anyway, that the detention pond be and have that water be dispersed throughout the whole subdivision, not just specifically in that area. If it ends up being in that area, that it's well screened from its immediate neighbors. There again, I don't know how well it's going to be actually maintained or what's going to become of it. There again, also, because of the nature of the grading there, I would recommend that you not approve the plat plan at this time until the engineering work has been done. This shows a lot of hills and valleys on that property right now, so I think that once they get out there and do some detailed engineering, that will change. There's a lot of trees in the easement. between the two properties. I don't know if there's a way to keep those trees there, to keep a buffer between the two developments. And then, I don't know, it's a really nice neighborhood, so can't they just have sidewalks on both sides of the street so those kids can play on their own sidewalks? So that's it. That's all I had to say.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Okay.
Sounds for it, testimony about the in this case, to the truth, so help God.
Yes.
If you give us your name and address, please.
Ryan Witt, 909 Southeast Willow Ridge Drive.
Thank you. I'm sorry, what was your last name?
Witt, W-I-T-T.
W-I, thank you.
I think it's a nice looking neighborhood. I'm a little concerned about the water drainage coming under Adams Dairy Parkway, considering the plan for the duplexes was not approved. I wonder if there's going to be issue with too much water over there, just as a note. And I just wanted to state that the group represented by some of the homeowners was just a group, not necessarily the HOA or the board. That's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions for you? Mr. Witt? Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to come forward? Is there anyone that would like to come forward in opposition? Okay. Just a moment. Okay. I'll go ahead and close it. Is there any other further discussion by the planning commissioners I should ask you before I close it?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner?
I would like to ask staff at this point my standard 2 questions, the 185-foot notification, and also any letters of opposition.
No, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, now I will close the public hearing, and we will be voting separately on the public hearing for rezoning, and then also the plan development concept, as well as the preliminary plat. So I would entertain a motion for the rezoning of Hoot Owl Ridge.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peel?
I move that rezoning RZ 07186495 for Hoot Owl Ridge be approved as submitted.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Fairbanks? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
Planning Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Billups.
Aye.
Commissioner Veal.
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Aye.
Commissioner Casey.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell, or Peel.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan.
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. Okay, that motion for the rezoning of Hoot Owl Ridge has been approved. It will be submitted, our recommendation will be submitted to the City Council August the 20th at 6 p.m. Now I would entertain a motion for the plan development concept plan for also Hoot Owl.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peel?
I move that plan development concept plan PDC 07186496 for Hoot Owl Ridge with the 4 conditions be approved as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Duhan? Second? Okay, roll call please.
Planning Commissioner Billups.
Aye.
Commissioner Veal.
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Aye.
Commissioner Casey.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks.
Aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan.
Aye.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. That also will go to the City Council August 20th at 6 p.m. Now, the last we have here is the preliminary plat for Hoot Owl. Do I entertain a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that preliminary plat PP 07186481 for Hoot Owl Ridge with the 12 conditions be approved as submitted.
I'll second it.
Okay. Commissioner Fairbanks? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, preliminary plat for Hoot Owl Ridge has been approved. Okay. Is there any other business? Is there any other business?
None other than to say that the next scheduled planning commission meeting is Monday, August 27th,
Okay,
and that is all.
do we have several on there?
Two.
Two? Oh, gosh. Okay. All right. Well, if there's no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
No, gosh. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Don't forget.